All right. So at this point, I'll be honest. One, I shot this whole video, realized I could have made it a lot shorter. So I'm just going to delete that and upload this particular one. At this point, this is the third iteration of me, at this point, just fussing about what Louis Rossmann said. I am agreeing with what he is saying. Yes, Apple's practices are anti-competitive and they are anti-right to repair, and it sucks. But as I've said in the other videos, well, the PC manufacturers and the Android device manufacturers need to do a better job. Apple does these things because they can. If they weren't selling tens of or hundreds of millions of iPhones, they wouldn't do it. But people buy them because even as a person who doesn't really particularly care for the iPhone, for the ones that I had, they did what they were supposed to do. Fortunately, I did not have to go to Apple to repair stuff. Initially, yes, I was able to do stuff my own. Now I can't do stuff, but for the phone that I did have, everything was working with it, so I did not need to go to Apple to repair it. But that's besides the point, because I should be able to repair some things on it if I need to. So that's the whole premise of it. But yes, my defense of Apple, which I don't want to do, is the fact that they have created a single product that is really, really good, and consumers really, really like it. And that product is the iPhone. And everything else that they make now just kind of stems from the iPhone. So the iPad is just a big iPhone. The Apple Watch only works with the iPhone. AirPods work best with the iPhone. I mean, they can work on an Android device and probably even a Windows computer. And now the Mac, which has an M-series chip in it, is really just a iteration of the A-series chips that Apple has been putting in their iPhones for a while. In past videos, I've talked about the ThinkPad X13S, which has a Qualcomm ARM chip in it, which is, ARM is the architecture that is in these M-series chips that are in these MacBooks. And what I want is, yes, something that is thin, light, extremely quiet because it doesn't have a fan in it, and powerful enough for it to be my main computer. This MacBook Air that I'm using, which you can't see, but it's the one I've talked about in plenty of videos, is powerful enough for it to be my main computer. I'm not a super user, but the power and efficiency combined makes for a really, really good product. And I said, well, that product that ThinkPad or that Lenovo is making, which is also an ARM chip, just is a worse product. Flat out, just a worse product. So when I look at the starting prices, and I have it pulled up now, the starting price for this MacBook that is, yes, now 2 years old, the starting price is $1,000, and obviously I always encourage people to buy used products. I spent, $700 on this thing, brand new, brand used, and yeah, $700. So used MacBook Air, got it sometime last summer. Now, the X13S, which is still available on Lenovo's website, and I must have closed that one particular tab, but I know the starting price for that thing was, here it is. The starting price for that thing, $1,800. Okay, so $800 more than if apples to apples comparison, buying them both brand new, $800 more than this MacBook Air. Now, that even translates or carried over into the used market, which obviously, you assume, hey, the one that costs more when it's new is also going to cost more when it's used. And that's true. As I said, I spent $700 on this after tax and shipping. I did find some comparably priced X13Ss, but yeah, I wasn't going to buy it. And I need to stop talking about this so much because that's not the point of this particular video. So, mind you, what's in this ThinkPad X13S from Qualcomm is what's it called? It's the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8CX Gen 3. And that's important. It's the third generation. Cool. Now, the point of today's video is to say, well, Dell said that they were going to release an ARM-powered an ARM-powered laptop. And what was going to be, or what they say is going to be in that laptop is the Snapdragon 8CX Gen 2. So we're going back a generation for a laptop that was supposed to come out this year in March. today is April 2nd, and I know at one point in time, I did see this laptop on Dell's website because I would go to these little tech forums and they talked about, oh, this new Dell laptop is coming out, and the titles of these the titles of these articles are Dell's new ARM-powered Windows laptop is awesomely affordable. But then now that I'm connecting all the pieces, wait a minute, it has the second generation 8CX instead of the third generation. And at some point, I don't remember where I saw it, but I know that Qualcomm, I believe, released a statement saying the third generation of this chip was one that they really felt was worth not bragging about, but making kind of a mainstream chip. So now if this Dell laptop has the second generation of it, you're already telling me that this is not going to be that great of a product. Already telling me that. And yes, the price does start at $500. And I should say the price is $500 because it's only available in one spec. And for that spec, you get, what is it? You get 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, claimed 16-hour battery life, a 1080p webcam, a 1080p display with a 16:9 aspect ratio. And the one thing that I wish I could find, because I want it to be able to quote it again, because I know that I saw it on Dell's website. Yes, it listed all that stuff, but the one thing that it also said the laptop did not have was a backlit keyboard. And I'm like, what? No backlit keyboard in 2023? Like, that just turned me off. Like, I was like, oh, not interested in this anymore. That was enough right there. And that was before today when I realized, oh crap, it's the second generation of that chip, not even the third generation, which the third generation is already aging, but the second generation, of course, is way older than that. So why would anybody want this? And I guess the nail in the coffin for me is I can go back to these little tech forum websites, like this is PC World, and I was on another one. It might have been CNET or something. WindowsCentral.com, and it talks about all the stuff. But there are links in here that should take you directly to the page that would allow you to see all of this information on Dell's website. But when you click it, it simply takes you to Dell's homepage, meaning that something is wrong. I don't think this laptop actually released. And on Dell's website, there is one page that talks about the existence of this laptop. Or I'll say the existence of the chip that's supposed to go in the laptop, because right now I'm on the page that says Snapdragon for Inspiron 14. So not the actual laptop itself, but the chip that's supposed to go in the laptop. And when you scroll down, it talks about all the stuff that's supposed to be in this laptop. And when you click on Shop Now, where does it take you? Back to Dell's homepage. So something went wrong. I don't know what, but it's not here. And I guess I should just read this because, every time they make any type of claim, I'll just, you got to take it with a grain of salt, because a lot of claims are purely subjective and based off of the individual user, the individual user. So this one says, Inspiron 14 tested with the 8CX Gen 2, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, a full HD non-touch Adreno, non-touch display with an Adreno 690, a 2-cell 40 watt-hour battery. 40 watt-hours, that's a small battery. And I'm sure they're like, well, it's an ARM chip, so it should still last. And I'm like, okay, It's one of those things, and I know Samsung did it with their S22. Well, we put a more efficient chip in there, so now we're going to make the battery smaller. Why? Just put a decent size, so you get the best of both worlds. You get a more efficient chip and either the same size battery or a bigger battery. But 40 watt hours, that's not that big. So I can't say it enough. Like, yeah, Apple does a lot of shady stuff. But when Dell is putting out a laptop, or claiming they're going to put out a laptop with a chip that I think Qualcomm admitted pretty much, indirectly, wasn't that great of a chip, it's like, well, if the competition is putting out this garbage, why am I to blame Apple for doing what they do? They do what they can do because they get away with it, and because they're making better products. I think I said it at the beginning of this video. I don't want to praise Apple. I don't want to pat them on the back. But when I look at this laptop, and I'll hopefully be able to put something up on the screen instead of me just turning something around like that. But when I look at this M1 MacBook Air and even think about comparing it to this trash of a Dell Inspiron, which looks like it didn't actually exist, what am I supposed to do? Buy the worst product? So either spend less money and get a way worse product, or spend more money and get a slightly less worse product. What am I supposed to do? So they're going to do what they can. And I said it in the other videos, and I have to say it in this video again. These cell phone manufacturers and these PC manufacturers need to do a better job. That's it. I've said it so many times before, so I don't need to say it over and over again, but this M1 MacBook Air, I know I can't repair it. There is nothing I can do to it if it breaks. However, while it's functioning, it's an extremely good device. And I'm comparing it directly to two other ARM laptops, the ThinkPad X13S with the Gen 3 version of that chip, and the Inspiron 14 with the Gen 2 version of that Qualcomm chip. And they're both worse products. One is half the price of the M1 MacBook Air. One is $800 more, so almost twice the price of this MacBook Air. And both of them are worse products. So I cannot fault Apple for doing what they do because they get away with it, while also making a pretty good product, at least for me. I know there are people that have their issues. I know that there are people who have gone to the Apple store and been told that the only solution to their problem is to buy a new device. I know that. I really do. I know that thanks to Find My Device or whatever it's called now, there are, pallets worth of Apple products that can't be unlocked or repurposed because once it's locked, because, the made for iPhone stuff calls back to one of Apple's servers, and, they claim to be worried about, being a green company or carbon neutral, whatever you want to call it. Meanwhile, they're sending mass amounts of stuff to either be trashed or recycled or whatever, when they could just be reused without having to go through any type of actual processing. I know that. I do. And I've thought about buying the X13S, and I wanted to buy this Inspiron 14, but I can't because they are worse products. I do have a Dell Precision over there, and I have another one for if I want something more powerful, I got that. And I even had a MacBook Pro, but I got rid of that. But I have a Windows PC for something else if I need it, if I need more power. But if we're talking about the thin and light, energy efficient machines, I feel like this MacBook Air is right. It is. It's right in the middle of the two products that I just described, or the three products in total that I've described. And it's the better of all three. It costs twice as much as one, but $800 less than the other, and it's way better of a product. So at this point, I think I've said enough. If you've watched it this far in this video, if you watched the other ones, you know how I feel. Don't want to like it, but I can't help but to like it. It's just a better product. So I've said it in the other ones, and I'll say it in this one. All of you other manufacturers, you need to do better.